Welcome everyone to this video on the Semurity Academy channel, where I'm going to talk about a very fundamental and important tool on Kali Linux that is called Metagoofil. Metagoofil is a tool designed and meant to download certain files from the website of your target organization. That is the website of an organization that you are doing against penetration testing. It downloads certain files and then it analyzes those files for metadata, and it gives you at the end a report of what it found. The agenda of this quick presentation is going to be like this. I'm going to talk about first Metagoofil as a tool, what it is, what it does, explain its main principle, and then we are going to look at the manual way of retrieving exposed files on a certain website. After that, we're going to look at metadata, what metadata is, where it is stored in a file, what can be included on metadata, because by understanding how you can manually retrieve exposed files on the website of your target organization through Google search engine and understanding metadata, you will understand the underlying mechanism of Metagoofil, because Metagoofil ultimately contacts Google search engine to download those files and then analyze those files for their metadata. Finally, we are going to have a demo where you are going to see how you can run Metagoofil, the switches, the options involved, and how you can see the results actually on your screen. So let us start. Metagoofil comes handy during the initial phase of a penetration testing. If you have done penetration testing before, or if you have some knowledge about penetration testing, you would know that the first and most important and most essential phase during a penetration test is called intelligence gathering. That is, sometimes it's referred to as information gathering, sometimes it is called reconnaissance, sometimes it is called footprinting. It doesn't matter what term you are using. But the initial phase of a penetration test is called intelligence gathering, and it is meant to gather as much information as possible about your target organization. So, if you are doing a penetration test against organization X, you have to start with gathering information and finding as much information as possible about that organization. And Metagoofil is used in this phase. You are going to use Metagoofil to access and download exposed files on their website and then analyze their metadata, of course. Now, those files can be accidentally exposed by your target organization, or they can be intentionally exposed. You are going to figure out this. In other words, the files that you are going to get may contain some sensitive information that was not meant to be revealed in the first place, but accidentally it was revealed, or the information would be actually public, some PDF files or Word files that are meant to be exposed in the internet. But nonetheless, you are going to get those files to your hard disk and then analyze them. So Metagoofil, the way it does this, it contacts Google search engine and then it performs certain operations, and we're going to look at those operations and how you can do them manually independently of Metagoofil. And once it contacts Google, it downloads certain files that you specify. For example, you can specify PDF files or Excel files or Word files. So you specify which file types you want to download and the number of those files, and then the domain from which you're going to download those files. So you can say organizationx.org, for example, or organizationz.com, whatever that is. And then Metagoofil is going to download those files to your hard disk, store them in a certain directory, so you have access to them, of course. And on top of that, it's going to look inside those files and extract the metadata stored on those files, and then present this metadata in a report and gives you a report at the end. But now let us look at the manual way of getting exposed files, and by manual way I mean without relying on Metagoofil, because Metagoofil automates this process for us. But as a pen tester yourself, you need to understand how you can do the same thing without Metagoofil, so that when it comes to using Metagoofil, you already know you already know the underlying structure, the underlying mechanism of Metagoofil. So there is something on Google search engine called advanced operators. I'm not sure if you have heard about this before, but advanced operators are certain keywords that you can include in your search query in order to refine your search. And they can manipulate the way Google retrieve results for you. And I'm not gonna go in depth into these advanced operators, as it's not the subject of this video, but along all the advanced operators available, two are very important and two are very related to our subject here. And these two advanced operators are site and file type. Now, site is a keyword that you can include in your search query to actually ask Google to retrieve results only from a specific and certain website. So instead of Google now giving you results from all over the globe, from websites that are available on the internet, now Google is going to retrieve pages and files from one single website only, and that website is the one you specify with the advanced operator site. So we're gonna look at an example after this, how you can use this operator. The second operator that's also important here is file type. And file type instructs Google to only return results that are of one single file type that you specify. For example, you can specify PDF with file type, and in this case Google will return only PDF files. Or you can specify docx, which is the newer version of Microsoft Word documents. Or you can specify Excel sheets, or you can specify text, or images, or MPEG file, or whatever file type you specify, Google will return only that file type. Let us look at this example and see how Google retrieve data for us. So if I type in the search query site, which is an advanced operator, a keyword for advanced operator, and every advanced operator must be followed by a colon and then the argument that you want to pass. So site and then ibm.com, and here I'm instructing Google to retrieve results only from ibm.com domain. All the results that are going to show later are going to be from ibm.com, as you can see here, and all the results below will have exactly the same domain. And then I'm adding here the file type colon PDF, which means get me only PDF files. So this whole search query now, what it's gonna do is gonna ask Google to get us PDF files at ibm.com domain. That's all. So all the results after you hit search will be PDF files at ibm.com. And as you can see here, the first one is IBM Standard Terms and Condition, is a PDF file at ibm.com. And all the 245,000 results here are supposed to be PDF files at ibm.com. Now, your role as a pen tester will involve the following. You have to figure out if those files are actually intended to be revealed publicly. Because if it's not intended, if there are certain files that have been accidentally exposed, it's your role to figure out, to discover those files and report them to your target organization. But having understood now the mechanism of retrieving certain file types from Google, from a certain using a certain domain, we will understand now how Metagoofil operates. Metagoofil sends exactly the same query in order to automate the download of these files and then the analysis of this file. Now, every file on your computer, whether it is on Microsoft Windows OS or Mac OS or Linux OS, has a segment that we call metadata. And metadata is certain information that is not part of the content of the file. In other words, if you open the file using its appropriate viewer, you are not going to read the metadata. Metadata are stored inside the header of the file and can only be accessed either by special software or if the operating system support revealing the metadata. So, for example, you have the PDF, and if you open the PDF file, you are going to read some text inside here. None of this text is actually metadata, but in the header of this file, metadata is stored. Now, metadata is information added by the operating system to the file, and it includes information such as the username who created it, the directory that was saved in it, the dates of creation and modification of the file. Sometimes it includes even the computer name, the organization or company name. It might include even the software program which created this file and the version of that software. For example, it can tell you Microsoft Word version so and so, PDF, Adobe Acrobat version so and so, and all of these. And all files, mostly all files, have metadata in them. And of course, metadata can be manually edited and erased. So if you are, for example, if you have some sensitive, confidential information in your, for example, on your username or the computer name or the organization name, and you don't want this information to appear on the metadata of the file when you send the file online through as an attachment by email, you can actually erase the metadata. So we are going to look at how we can run Metagoofil, and the first thing we are going to do is to run the help menu of Metagoofil. And by typing Metagoofil space -h, we should get the help menu. And as you can see here, this is the help menu of Metagoofil. And you can see here, the first option we have, -d, is the domain that we need to insert. For example, we can use ibm.com, let's say, or oracle.com. In our example now, we're going to use Oracle. But here you have to enter whatever domain name of your target. So you are going to use the domain name of your target organization against which you are performing the pen test. And then as you can see here, the -t, this is the file type that you are interested in downloading. For example, if you are interested in PDF, we would type PDF -t PDF, or let's say XLS for Excel files, or docx for modern Word document files, and so on. And then -l, this is very important. This is the number of results that Metagoofil is going to pull. For example, if you insert here 100, then Metagoofil, after contacting Google, will only look on the first 100 results and will discard anything beyond 100. Okay, that doesn't mean it's going to download all these 100. These are only the results that will be downloaded. These are the results that will be investigated by Metagoofil. And this is -h, which we have used right now for the help menu, and then you have -n. This is the number of files to download. So -n should logically be less than -l. So you might be interested in the first 100 results, yet you might download the first 50 of those results. Or you can retrieve 500 results and then download a maximum of 100 files, and so on. -o is the working directory. This is the directory in which Metagoofil is going to save all the downloaded files. So you create a directory, you give it a name, and Metagoofil is going to create it for you and then store all the downloaded files. And then -f is the report, the name of the report file. So in addition to the files that will be downloaded in the directory specified here, Metagoofil is going to create HTML file outside this directory, in the same directory you are running the command from, and that will be the report in which all the metadata analysis is going to be. Now we are going to download 50 PDF files from the domain oracle.com, and the command we're going to enter is going to look like this. We're going to type Metagoofil and then -d oracle.com, which is the domain name, as you can see here, and then the file type we are interested in downloading, which is PDF, and then 50 results to get from Google, and then 50 files to download. Now, why this is important? Because if, for example, we could not find a maximum of 50 downloadable files in the results, that means we're going to download less than 50. So let's say Metagoofil retrieved the first 50 results, and then not all of these results are actually downloadable files, because sometimes Google would give us unreliable results, links that are not really valid files, not really downloadable files. So in this case, we will get less than 50. But if we are really interested in getting exactly 50, then we need to increase the results retrieved by Metagoofil, and would be like, let's say we can increase this to 100 or 80, so that we have a margin of invalid links or undownloadable files. And then after specifying the number of results and the number of files to download, we can now type the directory name that Metagoofil is going to create, and all the downloaded files are going to be stored in this directory. So Metagoofil will create a directory in the root directory called Oracle Dire, and all the PDF files will be stored in here. And then finally, we give it the file name for the report. So we will have a file called Oracle report.html, and this will contain all the analysis that Metagoofil has done or will do on these downloaded files. So we will leave it now to run. As you can see, it is interested in downloading PDF files, and there are a limit of 50 results, and the number of downloaded files would be as well 50. Now we are approaching 42. After we have downloaded the 50 files, we can check the current directory to see what Metagoofil has created. And as you can see here, you will see one directory called Oracle Dire, which is created by Metagoofil to store all the files. And then Oracle report.html has been created, which will contain the results. And if we browse inside Oracle Dire now, so cd Oracle Dire, and then we type ls inside this directory, we are going to see all the PDF files that have been downloaded by Metagoofil inside this directory. So we have now a bunch of PDF files downloaded into the directory, and also a report containing analysis of the metadata inside those files. After opening the reports, now we are going to see the results that have been found by Metagoofil. And as you can see here at the top of the report, we will see some statistics about the metadata found inside those files. So we have 10 usernames found on these files, 21 software programs and their versions, and 7 email addresses found inside those files. Now, bear in mind that those usernames and emails and softwares, they are not inside the content of the PDF file. I mean, if you open the file and read them, you will not find those email addresses and the username. This data has been added by the operating system of the user who created this file in the first place. And as you can see here, the first section lists for you the usernames inside those files. You can see them one by one, and then you will see the software version that have been found inside those files. Every single one of them listed here, the program along with the vendor and also the version. And this is very important because as a pen tester, if you notice at some point that your target is using a vulnerable client, is using vulnerable software, you can now plan certain attacks and exploitation against those software programs. And finally, you have the email addresses that have been found here one by one inside those files. And you have a list of all the files that have been analyzed. After this, you will have a list of each metadata as has been found inside each file. So we'll have a list of details of how the metadata has been found in each file by itself. This is basically this tool, Metagoofil. It's a very powerful and very important tool that you should use during your intelligence gathering phase. And it's very simple yet powerful tool. And from here you can launch your attacks, you can plan your attacks based on these data that you have found. You can use the email addresses to actually do some social engineering attacks, and you can use the software versions to launch certain exploits against vulnerable programs and so on. That's all for this video tutorial. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.